o'clock.
The modern person spends much of his or her day in a sedentary or seated position. So sedentary means basically you're not moving around. And this leads to all sorts of problems for our posture and overall health. And this sedentary lifestyle is worse for teens who not only spend a long time sitting down to study, especially here in Korea, right? But even for their entertainment. And physical activity, as we know, really important for both our physical health and mental health. And this applies not only to children and teenagers, but also us, the adults. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, February 18th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the program on this Tuesday morning. So what are we talking about today? We're going to continue our discussion on children and teenagers, their health from yesterday, as this is vacation time for students. So at any given time during the day, we are likely to find ourselves and our kids in a seated position, whether we're working at a computer, studying, on our phone, even broadcasting. You know, sometimes like my butt literally gets numb after sitting here for 2 hours. So during song breaks, what I do is I try to like get up a little and get like the blood flowing just because it's like I've been sitting here for so long. In this type of lifestyle, right, this sedentary or seated position, this is becoming more and more a dominant part of our overall lifestyle. So according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, the KDCA, an average middle or high school student spent, are you ready for this, over 11 hours in a seated position during the weekdays. 11 hours. And over 9 hours on weekends. So this number has been going up steadily. And it's not just because they're studying. Yes, some are really studying for a long time. By the way, that's been going down in the past 6 years. Students are spending more time sitting down for entertainment and leisure. And this has worsened. This is worse now than it was during COVID times. An average middle or high school student spent over 5 hours seated for purposes other than studying. 공부를 제외하고도 5시간 이상 가만히 앉아있대요. Which shows how their general lifestyles are becoming more sedentary. Once again, sedentary means still, just sitting there or lying there. The World Health Organization, or WHO, recommends at least 1 hour of moderate to hard physical exercise per day. Let's look at the students, though. Only 17% of all students follow this guideline. So this is definitely a stark reality and a reality check for the country's teenagers. Text topic time. So we're going to turn it to you. Actually, to me included, all of us. What about your physical activity level? Am I pointing a lot? Sorry. Are you usually in a seated position at home, or are you lying down? Do you try to move around after eating, or do you just kind of sit? Do you lie down right after you eat? How active are you at home? 자, 나는 집에서 주로 앉아 있는다 versus 누워 있는다. Ooh, that sofa, so comfortable. 밥 먹고 움직인다? 아니면 눕는다. 그리고 집에서 가만히 계시는 편인지 아니면 신체 활동, basically 부지런하세요? Are you moving around the whole time? Or are you kind of just sitting there? I worked all day. I'm just going to sit. 하루 종일 일했으니까 나는 쉴 거야. So let us know what your patterns are. Send them into BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So you go to the YouTube platform, look for or type in BEFM, 부산영어방송. You'll see our logo and then our channel, Click on that to subscribe. And then you can log in to chat with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050, 샵 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through our Kakao Talk channel. Same thing there. Go to 친구 찾기, type in BEFM, 부산영어방송 to add us. And the ways you can listen to us these days, 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio. Like I just said, we're streaming live on YouTube, but you can watch again at your leisure. We're available on 2 apps, right? Our BFM app itself and also the 팟빵 app. Looking ahead to our lineup for today, we have Andrew with Sports Insider and Bonnie with The Health in hour number 2 for our special interview. What are we going to be focusing on? Very much kind of in line with what we're talking about today. Doom scrolling. How is it possible to stop doom scrolling? Meaning, there's a lot of bad news these days. And you know what? The bad news, they make the headlines. They're very splashy. They're sensational. That's what sells, they say. So, but how do we stop from doom scrolling, going through all the bad news? And, if you click on a, kind of a terrible news story, a tragedy, what pops up? It's that algorithm. So how can we stop that pattern? That's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06. These are today's headlines. Education Minister vows to make schools safer. Education Minister Lee Joo-ho yesterday vowed to come up with measures to prevent the recurrence of a stabbing death of an 8-year-old student by a school teacher last week while offering mental health support for teachers. Prosecutors to handle 4 major cases linked to Byung Tae-gyun. The Seoul Central Prosecutor's Office is taking over 4 cases surrounding power broker Byung Tae-gyun, President Yoon Suk-yeol, First Lady Kim Gun-hee, and presidential hopefuls within the ruling People Power Party, or PPP, for allegedly violating the Political Funds Act. PPP leader dismisses speculation of Yoon's voluntary resignation. Ruling party emergency leader Kwon Young-se yesterday rejected speculation that President Yoon Suk-yeol may voluntarily resign before a ruling on his impeachment trial. Government suspends new downloads of DeepSeek. The government said yesterday it has temporarily suspended new downloads of Chinese artificial intelligence or AI app DeepSeek over concerns over its data collection practices. Ukraine will not accept a Saudi talks peace deal, says Zelensky. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stressed that Ukraine would not recognize any peace agreements made without its participation as top Russian and U.S. officials prepare to meet in Saudi Arabia. These are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Sue in the studio. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
Yes. So on this Tuesday morning, let's hear about your physical activity. Are you kind of sedentary? Do you sit? Do you lie down? What do you do when you're at home?
I think I'm half and half.
Okay.
So for the past few months, I stopped exercising completely. So I started to notice how my body feels. So there's I was losing my muscle mass.
see.
살이 막 처지는 게 느껴지는 거. Shame on me. Yeah. So and I actually signed up for a 5K marathon for the end of March.
Okay.
So we'll see if I actually I'm gonna do it or not.
Oh, but don't you have to work up to that?
I know. So starting today.
Today? Oh, today. It's better than saying tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So today, I like that. Well, our first news is about the average annual income of artists in Busan. So let's hear more about this.
So the 2024 survey targeted 2,000 artists active in Busan, including 500 university students majoring in the arts, with half of the participants having also taken part in the 2021 survey.
Yes.
And according to the findings of the Busan Cultural Foundation's Policy Research Center, the average annual income of artists in Busan in 2023 was 14.79 million won, 1,479만 원. And this is up from 10.59 million won in 2021. Despite this increase after the COVID-19 pandemic, 45.4% of artists still earn below 5 million won per year. And artists with no income accounted for 25.2%, indicating many artists are struggling financially.
Right.
And the report showed that the median income dropped from 6 million won in 2021 to 5 million won in 2024. So this means there is a widening income gap.
Yes. And so, that's kind of like the image that we often have in English. We say, like kind of like the image of the struggling artist, right? So are there still aspiring artists in the field?
Yes. Only around 60% of aspiring artists express their intention to pursue a career related to their major after graduation.
Right.
The main reason is concerns about income and job security. And this number is a decrease from 69.8% in 2021. So the report highlights the need for more quality jobs in the arts sector. And good news is, among those still pursuing an artistic career, more artists are choosing Busan as their preferred location. And the need for better networks and support for young artists was also emphasized, with more reliance on online communities and social media for support.
I see. But how about people participating in the arts sector?
Right. Alongside the artist survey, the Busan Culture Foundation also released a survey on cultural participation among local citizens.
Yes.
And the results showed a significant recovery in cultural engagement, with 85.9% of respondents attending at least one offline cultural event in the past year, compared to 51% in 2021. And additionally, around 85% of respondents believe that culture and the arts contribute to building a better society.
I see. Pretty high there. All right, let's move on and talk about this. Our city announcing that construction technology reviews for 152 public construction projects will be conducted this year, correct?
Yes. So the Construction Technology Review Committee consists of 250 experts from 20 fields and academia.
Okay.
The reviews will assess the feasibility of the design as well as the safety and appropriateness of the facilities.
Okay.
The types of the reviews include design suitability for large projects and design reviews for construction projects over 10 billion won, and reviews of design service bidding plans and evaluation of the appropriateness of construction period calculations.
Yes. So 4 major projects will be reviewed this year of all the projects, right? So can you go over the 4 major ones?
So they include Busan Subway Hadan to Noksan Line and Western Busan Administrative Complex,
Yes.
Busan Joint Fish Market Modernization Project, and Bexco Third Exhibition Hall. And the city also plans to evaluate the application of smart construction technologies such as building information modeling, BIM, to ensure the global competitiveness of the construction projects.
I see. So once again, that is regarding the Construction Technology Review Committee looking over all the public construction projects. Next, let's talk about the Busan Metropolitan Office of Education, which will provide financial support for the academic year 2025. So what are we talking about?
So children aged 3 to 5 who are attending both public and private kindergartens and daycare centers will receive this support, and it will cover the cost of the new curriculum for young children. So to be more specific, for children that attend public kindergartens, 150,000 won will be offered per child. And for private kindergartens and daycare centers, 350,000 won will be provided. The support will be applied to foreign children with national foreign nationals
Yes,
the
yes.
same way as to domestic children.
Why didn't they have this before? Well, at least now.
Right,
Okay.
And low-income children attending private kindergartens who meet the eligibility requirements for financial support can also receive an additional subsidy up to 200,000 won per month. And the application deadline is by February 28th.
I see. Well, I'm happy for everybody that, this applies to.
Yes.
You're getting the support. All right, next, let's talk about Busan's first dedicated classical music venue, Busan Concert Hall, which is set to open on June 20th. Exciting.
Yes. So the Busan Concert Hall features a basement level and 3 above ground floors and housing a 2,011-seat grand hall and a 400-seat small hall. And a pipe organ is installed in the grand hall, which is special because it is the first concert hall to have that outside the Seoul metropolitan area. And vineyard style, meaning irregularly shaped seating arrangement, is designed to enhance both acoustics and visual appeal.
Yes.
And additionally, the concert hall is optimized for classical performances, incorporating acoustically designed seating, ensemble sound reflectors, and an automated stage system for the best sound experience.
Right. So we just saw some images on our Notu feed, but as special as this concert hall sounds, it looks like, will there be special performances? I'm hoping.
Oh, yes. So to celebrate its opening, Busan Concert Hall will host a series of performances from June 20th to 28th. So under the baton of Jung Myung-hoon, the inaugural artistic director.
Yes.
So he's a world-renowned pianist and conductor.
Oh, yes.
And he has conducted at venues like Carnegie Hall, La Scala, and the Berlin Philharmonic Concert Hall. So he will lead the Asia Philharmonic Orchestra, a project ensemble composed of Asian musicians from world-famous symphonies. He stated that his goal is to make Busan Concert Hall a unique star in Asia as a meeting point for Asian music. And he emphasized the importance of making the concert hall accessible to everyone by creating opportunities and habits for children and citizens to visit frequently.
Okay.
And also,
Slow down here because
sorry.
because I'm so excited.
I know. Okay. Yes.
So who's coming?
And pianist 조성진
조성진's coming.
and
Okay,
선우
sorry.
예권 and 정명훈 all together.
Oh my gosh.
These amazing
In
artists.
Busan.
Yes.
Sorry. So excited.
I know will perform chamber series all together.
Oh, the tickets are going to be so okay. But how can we get tickets?
So for the tickets for the opening festival programs, you can purchase on the Classic Busan website, and the detailed schedules will be announced later.
You're going to have to be quick, everybody, because I'm going to be competing with everybody to get
okay.
those tickets, right?
Right.
Oh, 피디님도 right? I know she is. We're all going to be like, oh, I swear we need a camera on her.
Yes,
She was so excited. As soon as we were talking about it, she was like,
I know.
This was her reaction. So that's how we feel. Because
Right.
this is amazing.
Yes.
That this type of venue is opening up and that to open it up, we're having these amazing performances. So
Right.
good luck to everybody out there, me included, trying to get those tickets. Lastly, the 2025 Busan Youth Volunteer Group has begun recruiting. So tell us about this.
So the volunteer work will be aimed at international students and foreign tourists, as well as activities linked to youth policies, such as activation of local culture, promotion of tourism, boosting the local economy, and supporting multicultural and vulnerable groups.
Yes.
And the program is recruiting 40 young people, aged 18 to 39, who live or spend time in Busan. So interested applicants can apply as a team with up to 8 members per team through the Busan Youth platform from February 17th, yesterday, to March 7th.
Yes. So I don't know. I was listening, but I was still stuck on the Chosong.
I know.
I DM'd him
Oh, you really?
to try to get an interview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't read my message, so.
Okay, let's
We'll just
hope
leave it
that,
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're secure. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all the local updates. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to get to your traffic and weather. It's time for your traffic report. It's now 7:19. There is some congestion on 만덕대로 from Minam intersection to the Namhae Expressway. Also, traffic building up on 중앙대로 from 금정구 district office to 동래 station. It's also looking quite slow on 충장대로 from 중앙동 intersection to 충장 overpass. As for the weather, today is 우수, one of the 24 solar cycles where snow is supposed to start melting. If we had some in Busan, it would be melting right now. But we're actually starting another cold spell. Currently, it is -1 degree Celsius. The daytime high is expected to go up to 6 degrees under sunny skies. There is a dry weather special alert in Busan. Across the country, sub-zero temperatures reported nationwide and strong winds throughout the day. There are chances of a strong wind advisory being issued in the afternoon for the western coast and Jeju, so please be aware. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. Haley and I were conversing off air. She had her coat on this morning.
Right.
So I didn't see what you were wearing. And then this morning I was going through, I was like, well, what am I wearing today? And then I almost picked my beige stripe.
I know she
my
has a
gosh.
sweater that's very similar. So I was like, she's not gonna. And I went through our old YouTube
you
videos
did?
and I was like, when was the last time she wore it? It was last week.
Last
So I was
week.
like, she's probably not gonna. I mean,
The things we do to
yes.
avoid, and then we still end up matching.
We do, but not today. Not today.
We are not the Paduk sisters today. Not today. All right, so let's talk about we know you're very active.
But I love lying down. I love just being lazy. So
But Haley's so active. Oh, active.
I
and
mean,
then running
you can,
active.
you can lying down.
down.
Like I mean, usually this is me at
Which
home.
is 이거 진짜 중요한 건데요.
왜요, 뭐요?
Which is your preferred side
Oh,
of lying
right.
down? Right
Right,
side.
I'm on my right side. And I know I've heard somewhere, I don't know if it's real medicine or just like folk medicine, that lying down on your left side is better for your digestive system. It's because
Supposedly.
supposedly, but
They tell pregnant women to lie on their left side. only.
right,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, interesting.
So,
But
there's some medicine behind
but
it.
it's so much more comfortable on my right side.
On your right side.
yeah. You?
For me, well, first I try not to lie down or sit too much right after I eat. Hence,
But that's the
moving-
best feeling,
It
though.
is. It is. However, doing the dishes, clear the table, trying to keep a little active, right after, and then after everything is done and clean. I kind of love that serenity, the peace that comes with it. And then I feel like my day is done. And I always tell the family, this is how I end the day. The kitchen is closed. Meaning, if you want anything else, go get it yourself. Yeah, so, right. So I said, the kitchen is closed, and they're like, okay. They're like, thank you, whatever. And then,
Oh.
yeah, so it's like I literally say it every
Yeah,
day. That's my
cute.
that's my little thing for
Cute little routine.
don't bother me. I'm done.
By the way, our
Yes.
producer called us amateurs, 하수들, because if you
yes.
lie down long enough, you're going to flip. That's a good point.
오래
It's all about
누워있으면
balance.
오른쪽 왼쪽 다 눕습니다. Balance.
It's all about balance. Thank you.
피디님도
Thanks
이제
for that.
문자로 보내세요. 네.
Yeah.
네. All right, we're going to jump into our first bit of news. So we're going to begin with that fire, the 반얀트리 and hotel resort fire. By the way, coincidentally, I passed by the site yesterday. On the way to
Right,
lunch.
in Kijang.
It's the scale of this fire, obviously, when it happened, we're talking about a tragedy, so many people dying and getting injured. There was so much damage. I was kind of shocked.
Because it
All
was
the windows
almost
were
completed.
blasted out.
Oh no.
And it wasn't just one little area.
Because it's spread through 2 different buildings.
Exactly.
Right.
It was like so widespread, but give us more details.
Right. So this fatal Banyan-tree Hotel fire, at the time of the fire, there were apparently 841 workers on site from 40 different subcontracting companies.
Right.
And the thing about this hotel is that it had already, at least on paper, completed construction and had received permission from Gijanggun County to basically open. And so there were last touches being put on for the interior decoration.
Right.
However, given the fact that the opening date was set for May, there may have been a rush going on.
Yes.
Because those in the construction industry say that for a building that was apparently under a usage permission and supposedly completed construction, it is rare for there to be over 800 construction workers working there at a time.
Right.
And workers say that they have never been to a work site, supposedly, that there was just so much work being done at once. And materials were just strewn about everywhere. And once again, the authorities will need to figure out if that was an obstruction in people evacuating and that they were also asked to work during the Lunar New Year holidays.
Indeed. And so, question is this. Was the hotel behind schedule?
It seems so. So the contractors, Hamjong Company, they were already past the completion date in the contract, which was set at mid-November. And they were supposed to pay penalties for this delay, but they were able to bypass this with approval from the large shareholders.
Yes.
But once again, if things are done too quickly, that does increase the risk of accidents.
Right.
We'll have to see if that was the case here.
Indeed. So unfortunate. We're going to move to our next story regarding the government and the ruling party. They have announced that they will draft the Haner law for teachers' mental health and strengthened school safety. What do we actually know about this potential bill or law? The responses, how have they been so far?
Right. So you covered a bit of that from news highlights, and you will do that in hour 2 as well. But the current proposal as it stands, it would have teachers undergo psychological evaluations all across their employment process throughout their career. And also active interventions in cases of suspected abnormal behavior. It would also create an organization that would have the authority to not impose, but at least recommend that a teacher go on leave in cases of problems.
Right.
But here are the concerns from the teachers' communities is that this focus on separating the teachers can actually lead to some people hiding their mental health illnesses or worsening conflict among faculty. Because again, if anyone's going on leave, who's going to fill that role?
Right, the burden may fall on the other teachers.
Right, because sometimes they do hire contract teachers, but sometimes if it's a shorter leave, they just cannot. There's also a question as to whether these psych evaluations alone could give schools enough information, thorough information on the full scale of mental health issues.
Sure.
And they also point out that it's important to figure out not only to add on new systems, but to figure out why the current system didn't work in this particular tragedy.
Well, this proposed Haner Act or Haner Law, it's the latest in a series of bills that have been named after victims, right? But there has been some controversy as to using victims' names in the title of a bill.
Right. So we call them namesake bills. So, for example, we have the 정인 Act, which is the revision of punishment on child abuse after that horrible death of a baby.
Right.
Minshik Act on strengthening school zone safety, and now Haner Act.
Right.
So the point of this is, number one, it kind of appeals to the pathos, the emotions of the public, effectively convincing the public and lawmakers why such bills are necessary by giving a name and sometimes a face to the cause. Also, it is easy to remember the name as opposed to, the revisions to such and such act.
Exactly.
And it gives the issue momentum. So, for example, in the case of the 정인 Act, when that passed National Assembly, there have been around 90 relevant bills related to child abuse issues that were just stuck at committee levels, but they were not getting the attention it needed until that particular tragedy happened.
Indeed. What about the downsides of these namesake acts or laws?
Right. So what some may call momentum could be rashness. It could be rushed. So it makes it hard for lawmakers to kind of oppose the bill because it seems like you are opposing, making changes or improving upon that tragedy.
Right.
Even if the bill itself may have issues. So even going to that current 하늘 law or 하늘 act, there has been criticism that the current iteration focuses too much on teachers' mental health rather than safety within the after-school programs.
Well, there's another issue. We're still on the same topic, but another issue that has come under scrutiny is that the teacher who allegedly killed the victim, apparently she's still going to be able to receive her pension. Is that true?
It is true. So even if the teacher, surnamed Myung, is dismissed, and that is, by the way, the top disciplinary action a public official may receive,
right,
she will still receive her pension, although a reduced amount of about 1 million won per month, so about 100만 won. So that's because under the Public Officials Pensions Act, their pension rights are revoked if they are found guilty and sentenced to prison for national security violations, so top crimes like insurrection or treason. Otherwise, even in serious cases of serious crimes like murder, you do receive your pension, but at about a 50% discounted rate. So there has been public outrage over this, although it is divided because this teacher did pay a part of her salary into the pension fund.
Yes.
However, other countries, they do have systems where your pension is restricted or revoked in cases of Japan or Germany.
Okay.
So the pension fund, upon this recent controversy, said that it'll look into potentially changing the system.
But for now, it is what it is, right? All right, our next topic is taxes and how much in taxes that we as wage earners are paying.
I don't know why, but I just got a stomach ache. But for real, there is this massive tax deficit in the country, meaning between how much the government estimated that it would collect in taxes versus how much it actually did collect. So despite this deficit, earned income tax or payroll tax, 근로소득세, is at an all-time high. So according to the Ministry of Economy and Finance, their data, earned income tax for the government's treasury was 61 trillion won last year. With the T, that's up by 1.9 trillion won from the year before. And this total amount accounts for about 18% of the total government's tax earnings. And that is the highest figure yet. So this means the government depends on individual taxes for about 1/5 of its total income.
Got it.
These earned income taxes have been on the rise every year, starting with 25 trillion won in 2014, once again to 61 trillion last year.
On the contrary, on the flip side, corporate taxes apparently have been on the decline.
Right. So, excuse me, we're talking about corporate taxes or 법인세 for 2 years running came to 62.5 trillion won, a steep decline of about 18 trillion won from just the year before. Political uncertainties, they seem to be on the kind of the cause for the corporate tax uncertainties for this year.
I see.
And then on top of that, the current Yoon administration gave tax breaks to large corporations, reducing total tax collection. So lawmaker Im Kwang-hyun, who released this figure, said that it's basically wage earners filling the gap left by corporations. However, depending on individual taxes isn't good for a country's financial stability because that can vary widely.
Yes.
So experts advise reducing dependency on tax categories that could change drastically based on economic conditions and coming up with a more stable tax base.
Yes, taxes. Anytime we talk about taxes, it's like, But you know.
But that is one certainty in life.
Yes, and death and taxes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go to Gaza for our final story. Egypt is apparently drawing up plans for the reconstruction of Gaza.
Right, because the plan that's on the table right now is under U.S. President Donald Trump, the kind of the Riviera plan. So this would be the one that's being drawn up by Egypt would be one to potentially replace the Riviera plan proposed by President Trump.
Okay.
So Egypt has been playing mediator in this war, and it's coming up with an alternative plan with the World Bank. Plans also have Hamas being formally excluded, so they wouldn't take part in governance and control of the territory's reconstruction.
Yeah, so what about the other players in the region?
Right, so Arab states, primarily we're looking at the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. They're also preparing to make financial offers to fund this reconstruction.
Yes.
However, it would be once again on the basis that the Palestinians do not leave or wouldn't be forced to leave Gaza. Also, they wouldn't be forced to seek temporary or permanent refuge in Egypt or Jordan.
Yes.
By the way, reconstruction, once it starts, would take about 3 to 5 years because 65% of property in Gaza has been destroyed. As for Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated that he is committed to Donald Trump's plans to take over and redevelop the Gaza Strip. But once again, there are uncertainties on whether Israel will send a delegation to Qatar to discuss the ongoing ceasefire. So anyways, before any reconstruction takes place, ceasefire first.
Right, that's true. Well, thank you for going over all the news stories. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, back to you, the waivers out there. Our text topic is this. We're talking about your physical activity level. When you're at home resting, are you seated, like in a seated position, or are you lying down? This way, that way, whichever way. Do you try to move around after eating, or do you just like to kind of rest? So basically, we're talking about your activity level. Looking at some of your responses, Benny says, I always sit down for like 5 to 10 minutes. However, I always get my body up every single time. And if I am sleepy, I have to go lie down to our sofa for a nap. Speaking of naps, 낮잠 이야기를 하자면요. 어디서 낮잠을 where do you like to take your nap? On the sofa? In your bed? In your cubicle? Are you napping at work? Haley just looked at me like... No, I know of people who take like mini power naps. If they have like a cubicle where the walls are kind of like high enough where like they have a little bit of privacy, or if they have their own office. Sometimes at school, what I do is right around 2, 3, I lock my office door if I don't have a class, and I do take like a power nap. Right. So sometimes I would rather just skip lunch and take like a 15-hour power nap, and I just feel so much better. And then I can grab something quick, and then I go about my day. All right, let's get to Kat's Pick for Tuesday. All right, so it's time for Kat's Pick, right? And today I want to talk about the effects of Trump's tariffs. Because in Canada, what's happening in Canada? Well, the tariffs that Trump has imposed has really pushed this buy Canadian sentiment. So let's hear from CBC News.
With the threat of tariffs looming, Canadians are doubling down on buying local.
We see this one is very Canadian.
These Montrealers have created an app to make it easier for shoppers to identify Canadian products.
We saw on social media a lot of different lists of products being shared. They were not always correct, so we thought we had to find a way to centralize all this information.
Buy Beaver is community-driven, relying on users to comment, rate, and share information.
You can scan the barcode, then it will rate the product as either Canadian or not on a scale of 1 to 5. And it will rate it based on where it's made, where the ingredients and the materials are from, and finally, who owns the brand or the company.
Similar apps have launched overnight with a common cause.
And we've got a couple of ratings there. Peanut butter made in Toronto.
The Shop Canadian app already has more than 100,000 downloads.
This was about a week ago, and we were in our kitchen, and I was trying to figure out if what I was eating was Canadian, and I had to jump through several hoops to try and figure out what I was eating. And eventually I came up with the idea.
It also leans on crowdsourcing. Half of the 100,000 products in its database have been reviewed.
But it's cool to see that we're making a difference. I mean, in our wildest dreams, we were hoping to keep a couple $100s in Canada. With the traction we've gained and the people using our app, we're able to do a little bit more.
The Buy Canadian sentiment is having an impact on bottom lines. Family-owned Chapman's Ice Cream says it has seen a bump in sales.
I would say, maybe 10%. So, very significant, especially for January, which is typically the lowest sales month of the year.
The creators of the apps know they're not perfect and say they're working around the clock to ensure the information is accurate. A labor of love for their country.
So that is just one facet of what's going on with the tariffs, what they're calling the Trump effect. And the thing is that, against everything that's going on right now, it seems that Trump's rhetoric and proposals have become kind of one of the top political issues within Canada, with elections coming up as well. So this is not just something that is a flash in the pan. So we'll see what happens. And I heard that some Canadians, they're even canceling their subscriptions to American OTTs like NetDang and memberships to giant online retailers, American ones like Amathing. So, of course, these are just a few stories, but nonetheless, this was Kat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
Speaking of Canada.
Yeah.
Representative of Canada.
I'm so unintelligent. I meant to wear.
I represent the states, but just the country, not somebody.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You can't be like, I'm this, I'm that. There's no sitting on the fence here.
Hey,
you're all 100% loyal. That's all. Hey, just saying. I meant to wear a hockey sweater when I came in here today, and I totally forgot. But that's what happens when you wake up too early.
Bring in your hockey stick too.
Yeah, we'll have a little fight. Exactly. That your Cat's Pick today, it's spot on. It's like obviously.
So it's not just like something I picked out of.
No. Obviously I'm Canadian.
Yes.
The majority of my Facebook friends or those like social media friends are Canadian, probably. And
so is it real, the whole Buy Canadian thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's even friends of mine. Yeah, friends of mine who I have a friend who owns a convenience store, and they said that there are certain products that are selling more. I.e., in that report, they mentioned Chapman's ice cream, and the ice cream is a local one out east, so it's different than that. But it's people are serious about it, and it's like people putting lists of things: buy this, don't buy this; buy this, don't buy this.
Exactly.
For like say ketchup, peanut butter, mustard.
Really?
These things.
Are the Canadian brands good? Because for the ketchup, I love Korean brands, but for the ketchup, I stick to my H brand because it's it tastes different.
Yeah, there's one. I don't think you can't get it in Korea. It's a Canadian brand called French's, and it's definitely comparable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Text topic.
Yeah. Okay.
At home.
Sure.
Okay. Your physical activity level. And by the way, when you're home, are you sitting upright?
Yeah.
Or are you kind of lying down? Are you on the sofa? You're lounging.
Actually, our sofa, we used to probably, I guess it's maybe going back 7 years now, 6 years. We used to have a massive sofa.
Yes.
We got rid of it. And we have just a smaller one now. That's really not
conducive to
like the kids like it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's,
Is there it's too small?
It's not sleeping on the sofa material. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm usually standing up or I sit on the floor. So it's all right. So anyway, sports.
Are you okay sitting on the floor though?
Yeah,
final
no
question
problem.
to you.
Yeah, no problem.
I can't sit for more than 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Okay.
That must be in the American in you. All right. So moving on. South Korea concluded a highly successful campaign at the 2025 Asian Winter Games in Harbin, China. Did you watch any of this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was really really good.
Screaming into the TV, and then I was just like, "Is Andrew watching? Do I need to text him?"
Especially, like Saturday, Sundays. Like it was really really good.
Right.
It was funny though because it finished last Friday. I'm like, all right, yeah, we got some stuff to watch here on Saturday. And my wife's like, that finished yesterday. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So they finished in second place in the overall medal standings, just behind China. Maybe not just behind, but behind China, who finished first. Korea had an impressive total of 44 medals, including 16 golds, which matches their totals from 2017.
Right.
Now, with 148 athletes competing across all 6 sports, South Korea demonstrated its prowess in winter athletics and solidified its position as a powerhouse in Asian winter sports. Now,
that's right.
And the thing is, there were a couple of sports where I feel I don't want to say they'd fallen off, but they maybe had medaled previously,
Yes.
and now they're back on top.
Oh, yeah.
Like figure skating, men's and women's. You know, I don't know if you watched the figure skating for the
we
men's.
watched.
The Japanese guy, he fell.
I know.
You know, and I don't know what went on there. It almost makes
Even
you.
in the short program,
Yeah.
so many falls. It
Yeah.
had me questioning. Was the ice okay? Like, was there something wrong with the
And
ice?
I was
so
wondering
many people
that.
fell down.
I was honestly wondering that as well.
Yes.
But then other people were hitting jumps, so it was kind of like I don't really know. So Cha Jun Hwan winning for the men, and then Kim Chae-hyun for the women, which was pretty amazing, outperforming another Japanese skater as well.
Yes.
You're kind of getting that. It's like deja vu for Kim Yana and. Asadamao? Asadamao, yes.
Yes.
All right. So, it's good to have this rivalry, and also people are at the
absolutely.
top. So it'll be interesting to see how things go at the Olympics next year. Also, shout out to the women's curling who got gold.
Yes.
The men lost out to the Philippines and got silver. I really was hoping for those guys to be able to bring home a gold in that.
Yes,
but
yes.
overall, absolute amazing
It was
Winter
great
Games.
performances,
Yes.
right? And so, but I have to say, like the highlight, it was so thrilling watching the gold for the figure skating for men and for the women. It was amazing.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. And I was also, for me, it was nice to watch hockey on TV at a normal hour. Which
it's
was
only an hour time difference.
Yeah,
Instead
exactly.
of like in the wee hours. Or
Exactly.
whatever.
That kind of gets us to our next
All
story.
right. So I hear, we have some hockey news.
Hockey news.
Okay.
But you should be happy about this.
I don't know.
Yeah, USA won.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So we're going to get to a clip here. This is from the CBC in Canada. This is talking about the game that shook the hockey world, if you will. USA versus Canada at the Four Nations face-off that is taking place right now in Montreal and in Boston. Let's get to our clip.
Right off the hop.
That energy, it was insane.
I don't think we're done.
Like 3 fights in 7 seconds.
The tone's been set.
I've never seen that before.
I don't think anybody's sitting down at this point.
Just the way they were talking.
They're going to drop the gloves right away.
You knew something was going to happen. So the first fight happens, and then the second fight happens, and this was both teams were setting the tone right off the bat. And the first 7 seconds, the third fight, it was so crazy that all the fans were up into their feet till the 10-minute mark.
That was the greatest start to a hockey game ever.
It's okay that we lost this one because we're going to win the final on Thursday. This is something that we will never forget. Go, Canada, go, and I know you got it.
Go, Canada,
Go, Canada, go. Yeah. So, so the game didn't go to plan. Canada got out of the gates early with a 1-0 lead. But the USA did defeat Canada 3-1. One of those goals was an empty netter. Jake Gensel scoring 2 goals and getting player of the game for the US, and Connor Hellebuck coming with 25 saves. Now, this set up a game early this morning that I woke up to watch. It was at 3 a.m., Canada versus Finland. As long as Canada won in regulation, not overtime, they were going to the final against USA, which will be on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock a.m. our time here in Korea.
Yes.
And I fell back asleep when the score was 4-0 for Canada. And I was like, this is great. And I could feel myself fading. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm all right. Oh, and I fell asleep. And I woke up.
Where?
Right at the end. And it
Where
was
were you? Where did you fall asleep?
on the sofa. But it was planned. Like there's no way I was waking up
Yes.
and then setting an alarm in the bedroom, because I think my wife probably would have thrown me out the window.
That's right.
But yeah, so Canada ended up holding on to beat the Finns in regulation 5-3 the earliest morning. Now there's another game, really meaningless. I mean, doesn't have anything result for the finals.
Sure.
It'll be USA versus Sweden. So it's only 4 nations. A lot of people were arguing that Russia should be involved, but until some certain sanctions and other things are lifted, they will not take part in that. But as you were talking about the whole Canada USA with the products, this kind of, a lot of people think it boiled over onto the ice. And in the building in Montreal, when the American anthem was being played and sang, they were booing it. But I didn't feel there were as many as the previous game, but there was also maybe more American fans in the building. And a lot of people took that as, major disrespect. And I'm one of those people as well. I don't think so, because I feel that, anthems are not just for everyone there. It's for people that have served your nation and things like that. So, but it's just this rivalry. And then there were 3 fights in the first 7 seconds of the game. I don't think that's ever happened in, definitely not in an NHL game.
Right.
And in our clip there from the CBC, the guy who was talking the most was Georges Larac. He was a former NHL tough guy. And he was just like, in the clip, I wish we had the video, you could see him and he's just gleaming from ear to ear like, wow, this is amazing. So, yeah. But a lot of people say best start to a hockey game ever. And if that set the tone for Thursday's game, I don't even know what's going to... I'm super excited to watch it. So Thursday, 10 a.m. will be the final for that.
All right. Thanks for giving us an update on that. All right. So we're going to go to the Premier League. Do we have to?
Well, come on. I think Kat threw out her subscription to this program or thing that you need to watch this channel or watch this team. Ago. So she doesn't even know. So Tottenham Hotspur scored a 1-0 victory over Manchester United on Sunday with James Maddison's early goal providing the difference.
Yes.
Which, it was his first game back as well.
From injury.
And it was kind of funny. Former Manchester United midfielder or great Roy Keane came out earlier in the week and said, if you're someone sitting in that room and you see this guy coming back, you're not saying, all right, we're okay now. He's going to save us. And then there's a clip of Madison looking into the camera, shushing, and then they people memed it up. It was it was awesome. So
it was.
This win marks Tottenham's first home league victory since early November, providing a much needed boost. Now, I don't think I watched the game. It wasn't a great performance by Tottenham.
No.
But a win's a win.
Yes.
Manchester United, I think
they're struggling.
They're struggling, but
they're struggling
also
more than Tottenham.
Yeah. So I think they should be maybe. If you're ever happy about a loss, maybe that's it, because they actually probably should have won the game with the amount of chances and stuff like that. But so there we go.
Yes. Well, let's talk about the NBA All-Star game over the week. Did you see the dunk contest?
Yeah, or not the game at all, because it's like, wah, wah.
It's so not fun.
Especially after that hockey game where they canceled the All-Star game to have this tournament.
Right.
And people are like, hey, NBA and NFL, pull up your socks.
Yeah, but seriously, I was just like...
Yeah, I watched some of the dunk stuff, but I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's just nostalgia for me. Like, when I see, stuff from long ago, and like...
which was it the 2017 or 2018 one? The one with Gordon and Zach LaVine?
Okay, I think I remember what you're talking about.
That was the best contest ever. Sorry. but I digress. But
actually,
it's sports.
But it wasn't the pros who got the headlines.
No.
Right? So during the NBA All-Star game, college student Jaron Barras achieved instant fame, winning the Mr. Beast $100,000 challenge against Milwaukee Bucks star Damian Lillard, which is unbelievable. So the 18-year-old Barras sunk a half-court shot at the buzzer, securing the victory. So what happened here was he had to sink one half-court shot before the NBA player could sink 3 3-pointers.
I see. Okay.
And the NBA player had hit 2.
Oh.
And then he hit the half court. Yeah, he hit the half court one.
Did his toe go over the line? Sometimes, no, I'm serious.
No, it just happened not too long ago. Yeah.
There was a story where he stepped on the line. They're like, no, you don't get.
Do you know what? I'm pretty sure Mr. Beast probably would have given him the cash regardless.
Yeah,
but
he's much cooler than the people who make up the regulations.
But it was really funny because Damian Lillard was just getting trashed by the other NBA players. Like, can't believe you lost to this guy. Like, it was quite funny. So it was pretty interesting to watch. But it's also, if that's the thing that's grabbing the headlines from the NBA All-Star game.
Yes.
You got to do something. You got to change something up. I know it was different teams, like Shaq had a team and these kind of things.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess if you're a fan going there and you get to see all the superstars together, there's different mix zones and things like that. All right, fair enough.
Right. So I stand corrected. Benny said it was 2016.
Oh.
But I got LaVine and Gordon right. So.
There you go, Benny. Okay. That's why we got Benny. Benny's
right.
here.
All right. So Tiger Woods. Tragic news, right?
Tragic news, yeah. Tiger Woods, lost his mom over this past week. And then, he was supposed to come back and start his don't know if you want to call it a comeback for
I mean, he
the
is
PGA.
the host of.
He is the host of the Torrey Pines,
Genesis,
the Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines. Now he came out and said he would not be going to. He said it's too soon.
Yeah.
He's not ready after his mother's death.
Everybody understands.
And he also gave it a shout out to everybody who sent it their well wishes and people from around the world, fellow pros, people from the LPGA as well. And just that everyone has been fantastic to him. But he said, this definitely isn't the end. He will be back, and thoughts go out to him and his family.
All right. Well, thank you for going over all the hot sports news. We'll check in with you next week.
See you tomorrow. Go Canada.
No, not that. All right, so let's get to our final song. This is As Hung by Cool, as requested by Betty.
BEFM 부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의
우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It's now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Education Minister vows to make schools safer. Education Minister Lee Joo-ho yesterday vowed to come up with measures to prevent the recurrence of a stabbing death of an 8-year-old student by a school teacher last week while offering mental health support for teachers. The government and ruling People Power Party, or PPP, agreed to conduct emergency safety checks ahead of the 2025 academic year and to seek ways to reinforce safety in schools. The ruling party is seeking to revise the Education Officials Act, stipulating an immediate segregation of teaching staff deemed to be at high risk from mental illness and deployment of a response team. Prosecutors to handle 4 major cases linked to Myung Tae-gyun. The Seoul Central Prosecutor's Office is taking over 4 cases surrounding power broker Myung Tae-gyun, President Yoon Suk-yeol, First Lady Kim Gun-hee, and presidential hopefuls within the ruling People Power Party, or PPP, for allegedly violating the Political Funds Act. The first couple is suspected of interfering in the PPP's candidate nomination process for the 2022 by-elections, resulting in the nomination of former lawmaker Kim Young-sun in return for over 80 opinion polls that Myung is accused of conducting illegally for Yoon's benefit. Seoul Mayor Oh Se-hoon and Daegu Mayor Hong Jun-pyo are suspected of having acquaintances cover the cost of additional polls conducted by Myung's company. PPP leader dismisses speculation of Yoon's voluntary resignation. Ruling party emergency leader Kwon Young-se yesterday rejected speculations that President Yoon Suk-yeol may voluntarily resign before a ruling on his impeachment trial, calling such a move unrealistic and inappropriate. During a debate forum, Kwon stressed that Yoon's decision to resign is entirely up to himself and not his legal team, referring to recent remarks by the team suggesting it could make a major decision. Hwan said that his resignation won't necessarily resolve issues and added that Yoon's martial law declaration was clearly a mistake and an excessive measure. Government suspends new downloads of DeepSeek. The government said yesterday it has temporarily suspended new downloads of Chinese artificial intelligence or AI app DeepSeek over concerns about its data collection practices. The Personal Information Protection Commission said the service was suspended on Saturday and will be resumed after improvements and remedies are made in line with South Korea's personal information protection laws. It has raised concerns with DeepSeek. The measure comes after multiple government ministries and agencies blocked internal access to the AI service amid concerns about the startup's data management policies. Ukraine will not accept the Saudis' talks peace deal, says Zelensky. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stressed that Ukraine would not recognize any peace agreements made without its participation, as top Russian and U.S. officials prepare to meet in Saudi Arabia for high-stakes talks on the war in Ukraine. The comment comes as European leaders met in Paris for an emergency meeting over the issue and called for Europe and the U.S. to work together on security. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, however, said that there is no role for Europe in any peace talks. And this was News Highlights. All right, it's time for issue Wagle. Haley's back in the studio with us.
Hello. Our comment thread is waggling.
It is.
Yeah.
I threw something out there. Because TJ, Taejin, he was mentioning he remembers the ID number when he was a soldier.
Right.
But then not other things, right? And then
some numbers just stick with you.
Yes.
Right? I'm horrible with numbers, but my first cell phone number from the States,
right,
it sticks with me. And then whenever somebody asks, every once in a while, I think when my brain's on hibernation mode or off, there's what's your phone number? I'm 1360. Nope. No. I'm nope. That's, yeah.
How many numbers do you memorize though, besides yours?
Nothing. My dad's, barely my dad's, because he's my emergency. And then I think he's our at the supermarket in our neighborhood, he's the he's a membership number. So I just memorized that.
Really?
Other than that, I'm no one's number. Barely any number.
So our producer's 현관 집 앞에 비밀번호. 그거 모르면 큰일 나죠. You can't get in.
Oh.
She said 헷갈릴 때 있어.
We don't have one, the front door, the apartment gate.
Yeah.
And our apartment's kind of in the process of trying to decide whether we want one. And no, that's another number we have to memorize. And
cost.
And I love all of y'all, but we're all old. We have a fairly older apartment. I'm you think you're gonna be able to memorize another number? I don't think so.
Our apartment is there's one where you go in for the main gate. Mm-hmm. And then there's a separate number for if you're walking.
Well, they just want to lock you out. That's
so every time I got to call someone in my family, I'm
can you let me in?
What was the number? And they're it's at the top of our 단톡방에 그 위에.
Oh, the 공지, the announcement?
I was oh, okay.
But it's so much faster to call you.
But I forget that it's even there. It's easier. So it's just easier to call, isn't it?
All right. It really is.
Let's get into our first story. So the death of actress Kim Se-ron, really shocked a lot of people, right? And in the light of what happened, her past history and public reaction has come under scrutiny once again.
Right. So Kim began her career as a child actor. She really has grown up in front of the public eye, and she began building her career. And it was really kind of on a good trajectory until that DUI, the drunk driving accident in 2022. And not only that, but she fled the scene afterwards, for which she had to take a break in her acting career. career. She did try to go back to acting a couple times with the stage production most recently, but there was a lot of pushback against it, and apparently she was in the works for another project when tragedy struck.
Yes.
So her fans, after this, via a DC Inside post, issued a statement of grief and also pointed out the double standards in how celebrities are treated under public scrutiny, and ask how the public asks for even more strict standards for celebrities.
Yes.
And the level of criticism and scrutiny was something beyond what she could handle.
Okay.
So the fans in the statement said that there is a need for social reflection upon this tragedy, that baseless taunting and malicious comments can uproot and ruin a person's life, and called for kindness for everyone.
You know, after this happened, there have been so many discussions just with, people I know.
Right,
I'm sure
right.
you've had discussions as well. And this whole idea, like, I'm not saying one way or the other, but the discussion was like, well, what about public officials? They've had DUIs before,
right.
but they have resumed their duties.
Elected officials.
And even just private citizens, people who have, had similar incidents, and then they are able still to go on making a living.
Right.
So, and then the whole issue of, I know there's a cultural bias, like where in Korea, celebrities are kind of put on a pedestal
And
sometimes.
you have to even think, and this is, completely of a personal opinion, even within celebrities, there are celebrities who go on to have very successful careers even after multiple DUIs.
That's right. So anyhow, an expert on mental health has spoken on this issue as well.
Right. So number one, before we get to this opinion, we cannot discount the fact that she was criticized because of drunk driving,
of course,
which
serious.
It can also ruin other lives, and
kill
that's
people.
something that we cannot and should not embrace.
Absolutely.
However, this is a point that mental health expert Professor Na Jong-ho of Yale University's Medical School made, that it is not a healthy society where one who committed a wrong or did wrongdoing is completely buried without an opportunity to come back. That this society which discards someone who's made a mistake and doesn't even look back at that person, it kind of comes off as a huge Squid Game. Going back, a reference where, people are killed and you just move on towards that winning.
Right.
So of course, he stated that drunk driving is a big wrong.
Of course.
But if, it seems that people are kind of more angry over weak punishment.
Yes.
But that's more of a problem with the legal system, something that lawmakers and policymakers should address.
Okay.
He asked, when will we stop thrusting on this destructive level of shame upon individuals? And we need social discussions and contemplation. So we're not saying that drunk driving is something that, it should be completely, forgotten.
Right.
But to degree to which she was ridiculed, online.
Unable to make a living, though.
Right.
Really.
So
continue. Just saying, once again, we do not condone drunk driving.
No.
Terrible. We always say it's terrible.
But we also don't condone online cyberbullying.
Of course, as well. Moving on to our next story for now. We have talked about how tough things are for small businesses, like over and over again. But the situation is particularly worse for cafes and bars.
Right, because if you and me as an individual, if we need to stick to a budget, what cuts do you first make? That's my question. But let me throw this out to our waivers as well. So if you are kind of tight 1 month, maybe some things, some months.
뭐부터 이제?
Right. 뭐부터 그만 쓰시나요? Like, what do you cut down on?
The expense of coffee.
Right.
The desserts.
The desserts.
For me.
Online shopping, snacks. So like the non-essentials.
Right.
That would be coffee for some and drinking alcohol for others, for those who do drink.
Yes.
So in the fourth quarter of last year, there was a considerable hit in demand overall, of course, due to martial law and the impeachment.
Yes.
And this affected small businesses, especially cafes and bars and pubs. So this is according to the Korea Credit Data Report from yesterday. There were over 3.6 million businesses with loans that were taken out under the owner's name. So this is like an individual credit.
Okay.
However, over 13% of these have reported to close their businesses. So of these, they on average owed over 61 million won in loans, so 6,100만 won, with over 5 million won overdue at the time of the closure of business.
Yes.
So for businesses that did stay afloat, interestingly, they seem to have managed to do so by cutting back on costs by an average of about 4.5%.
I see.
So the credit data, you said that the hope was that after the COVID pandemic, there was, of course, a slump, but there was a brief recovery in 2023. So the hope was that we would have been on a full recovery track by last year. Obviously, that did not happen due to the overall stagnant economy and political uncertainty.
Yes, and amidst all of this economic hardship, to add to that, customers are making things even more discouraging.
Some customers, of course. It is my faith in humanity that the majority of people are good people, and then it's like a handful that just makes you sigh. So we've had this discussion before. How long is an acceptable amount of time for you to stay at a cafe after one order, a cup of coffee, and maybe like a dessert? Well, one cafe owner in Yangju via their social media account said there is an all day long, not only cafe, but electricity user. Yeah.
Okay.
So this customer apparently comes in at opening time when the cafe opens. Orders one Americano.
Which is usually the cheapest.
Right.
Yeah.
Sits at a 4-person table with a laptop. This is electric seat cushion. 전기 방석. An extension cord that would be multi-tap in Korean, a tumbler. So I'm assuming they didn't get the coffee in a tumbler, so they maybe brought some water in a tumbler, and will leave an hour before closing.
So they're there for I
don't know what the hours are, but almost the entire day.
10 hours?
Well, maybe, but because they will also leave for 2 to 3 hours in the middle of the day and come back. Maybe getting lunch, getting some food. So this owner is contemplating, what do I do? What to do. So he or she was asking for advice on social media, and with photo proof of this that getup that they had going on, this home office. Netizens advise, blocking the outlets temporarily until this person leaves. And also and this is good advice, you can't please everyone.
That's true.
This is true, and this goes for personal life and businesses.
It's so hard to
I know, I'm such a people pleaser. I'm like, why don't you like me? Everyone likes me. No, you can't. Not everyone can be your customer. That's sometimes you gotta let go. Yeah, it's good life advice for everyone.
But the whole idea of people pleasing, in the beginning, I was like, I want everyone to like me. And then, I've grown to accept it. It's okay.
And then because of fear, and this is legitimate, in this age of social media, you are afraid because one bad review that
can kill you.
That can kill you.
Your business.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
true.
I do get it. But can't please everyone.
As Souvenir says, 한 소리 하면 리뷰를 말도 안 되게 써요. But it's true. So, that's it makes us kind of hot under the collar, as they say. And we need our daily dose of good news or good people.
Good people. Faith in humanity time. So, importance of taking action. If you see something that could be potentially problematic, especially when it concerns people who may be more vulnerable, like children and the elderly.
Okay.
So last month, a young child got on the bus in Seoul alone. And it depends because it is kind of iffy because in South Korea, kids are much more independent, let's say.
Because we live in a much safer
in a smaller
society.
community, and kids will take the bus to go to their hagwon in school.
True.
But this was a red flag. He wasn't wearing a coat. And this was last week where it was below freezing.
Really cold.
So one of the riders thought it was odd, so he or she called the police.
There's a photo of him.
Right, and he's it seemed like he's just in his thermals. Right,
yeah.
He's just wearing 내복. So that's definitely alarming. So the police took the boy to the station, calmed him down, and found out that about an hour ago, there was a missing child report lodged.
Okay.
So this is for an 8-year-old who has developmental disorders that he went missing. Yes, the two were the one and the same. They confirmed, and he was able to be reunited with his mom. The mom was just parking her car for a brief amount of time. If you've ever had kids or been around kids, they
move quickly.
They apparate. They have the ability to apparate, I swear.
So use fancy words. They disappear.
They disappear. They just leave.
Yes. Well, thank goodness this was a happy ending, though.
So once again, a lesson that if something seems odd,
it probably is.
I am always afraid of am I too much of an 오지랖퍼? Yes. Am I too nosy? Yes. But also I will always continue to forever and ever be nosy.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for all the Woggly news. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, back to you, the waivers. We have your traffic updated, plus your weather. It's now 8:17. Here's your traffic update. There's some congestion on Bunyeonglo coming into the city right around the Wondong interchange. There's also some traffic buildup on 중앙대로 from Songgong three-way intersection to Seomyeon intersection. It's also looking slow on Nakdong-Namno from Gangso Police Station toward Ilsukdo. Today, once again, is Usu, one of the 24 solar cycles. So this is a day where snow is supposed to start melting. Well, here in Busan, we don't have any snow, but elsewhere, there might be some still. We're actually starting another cold spell. However, with the current temperature sitting at -2, it's going to go up to 6 degrees Celsius under sunny skies here in Busan. However, there is a dry weather special alert in our city. Across the country, sub-zero temperatures reported nationwide, strong winds throughout the day. There are chances of a strong wind advisory being issued in the afternoon for the western coast and Jeju. So be on the lookout for that. This was your traffic and weather.
You know I want you. It's not a secret I try to hide.
As requested by TJ Waver, Rewrite the Stars. This is Zac Efron and Zendaya.
Saying our hands are tied. You claim it's not in the cards. Fate is pulling you miles away and out of reach from me. But you're here in my heart, so who can stop me if I decide that you're my destiny? What if we rewrite the stars? Say you were made to be mine. Nothing could keep us apart. You'd be the one I was meant to find. It's up to you, and it's up to me. No one can say what we get to be. So why don't we rewrite the stars? Maybe the world could be ours tonight.
It's easy. You think I don't wanna run to you, but there are mountains and there are doors that we can't walk through. I know you're wondering why, because we're able to be just you and me within these walls. But when we go outside, you're gonna wake up and see that it was hopeless after all. No one can rewrite the stars. How can you say you're mine? Everything keeps us apart, and I'm not the one you were meant to find. It's not up to you, it's not up to It's not a secret I tried to hide, but I can't have you. We're bound to break and my hands are tied.
Welcome back. That was a great song. Thanks for the song request. And now let's get to our text topic before we get into our special interview. Our text topic basically was about how sedentary your lifestyle is at home, meaning do you move around a lot or do you tend to sit up or lie down? Looking at most of your responses, I see a good mixture. Some people say they like to move around, like especially right after eating. 식사하자마자 조금 이렇게 움직이는 편이 많은 분들 많아요. Like Layla says, 운동하지 않으면 몸이 근질거려서 평일에 헬스장에서 움직이는데 주말에는 요가 수련을 하곤 해요. 혹은 대청소를 해요. Oh, so Layla says basically during the weekdays she like feels the need to go to the gym to work out. Like she feels the itch to work out. During on the weekends though, it's more of a yoga kind of thing. And if not, deep cleaning, that's the best. That gets you active and gets your pump, your heart pumping. So that is, I believe, a great way to stay active at home as well. And for other people, 고수 says this. 오늘 토픽 저는 퇴근 후에 귀가하면 집에 3살 여자친구가 기다리고 있답니다. 제 행동은 빠르게 환복 후에 숨바꼭질부터 시작해서 토끼 인형, 소꿉놀이, 어린이집 행동놀이들 등 쉴 틈이 없답니다. And then I see lots of 점점점s. I'm sighing. 한숨을 자꾸 고수님 생각하면서 합니다. 저는 괜찮아요. So cute. He when he gets home, he plays with he says in quotes, 3-year-old girlfriend, aka his cute little daughter, and he plays with her as she would play at her nursery, at her daycare center. What a good dad that you put in the time and the effort. And of course, you're still being active, so that's good for you as well. For now, though, we're going to get to our special interview and find out about doom scrolling. With the recent onslaught of headline-making news and events, it's really easy to get caught up in a cycle of endlessly doom scrolling through really bad news, right? So when we say the word doom scrolling, you might think, what does that mean in Korean? So doom means 파멸. And then scrolling scrolling은 아시잖아요, right? On your phone or devices. So basically in Korean it means 부정적이고 우울한 뉴스를 계속 소비하는 그런 행위를 얘기하는 거고요. That's called doom scrolling. With so much information available in our digital world, it's really easy to fall down that rabbit hole of consuming an unhealthy amount of news. And, not such great news at that. This can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even trouble sleeping. So the question is this. We're a news program, right? How can we stay informed without feeling overwhelmed? Let's find out how we can break free from doom scrolling and develop a healthier relationship with the news. Perfect for us. Joining us is Lisa Harrison, Dr. Lisa Harrison, who's a lecturer in digital communications at Flinders University. Let's say hi to her first. Hi, welcome to our program.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I gave what I think is the definition of doom scrolling. Can you add to that definition or maybe correct anything if I said anything incorrectly? What would you say?
Look, you're on the right track. It's that feeling when we want a quick news update, but then it turns into hours of scrolling through increasingly stressful headlines.
Indeed. And why do you think people find it so difficult to stop? Because I think in the back of our heads, we know, okay, this is kind of unhealthy, or maybe it's just I've been on this device for over an hour. I need to stop, but it might be difficult to do so.
It is difficult for a lot of us. And the main reason is the social media platforms want to keep us on those platforms. They want our attention. They've got sophisticated algorithms that can create that addictive feedback loop with the hyper personalized content.
Yes.
And they do this with content that leverages data, creating that constant exposure to dopamine-inducing content that contributes to this behavior.
Yes, indeed. And so how does doom scrolling affect our mental health? I mean, particularly for young people and even professionals. I mean, we're a news-based program, and many of our listeners, they really rely on digital media.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important for us to be up to date with what's going on. But excessive scrolling is linked to heightened anxiety. It can reduce our attention spans, and we can start feeling inadequate as well. But for teens, you asked specifically, when they're exposed to extreme content like unrealistic body standards, this can affect their body image, create depression, and false perceptions of what is actually normal.
Ah, indeed, indeed. And so if we talk about strategies, Dr. Harrison, that individuals can use to kind of balance, we want a good balance of staying informed on one hand with maintaining also, just mentally being well as at the same time. So how can we balance the two?
Yeah, look, I recommend that you, put some boundaries, personal boundaries around your consumption. And it's just like having a healthy diet, right? Like you eat healthy food, you feel much better. So start being a little bit more critical of that news that you consume, limit your time online as well. And there's lots of different apps that can support that.
Yes, indeed. And I also want to talk about the fact that, all of these digital platforms and digital media, there are algorithms that are built into platforms, right? So when we talk about like clicking on certain news, isn't it true that because of the whole algorithm issue that like-minded or similar stories will pop up on our feed? And doesn't that kind of feed into the doom scrolling?
It can. It's actually called echo chambers, where we can find, like repeated same type of content coming up in our newsfeed. And that's something you can control, but you need to be quite active in educating, I suppose, the algorithms around the type of content you want to consume.
Indeed, indeed. Well, are there ways, things like digital tools or settings that can help people maybe kind of limit their news consumption at the same time without feeling too disconnected?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Apple and also Android systems create these screen time management features. They've got digital wellbeing in mind, where you can monitor your scrolling habits. You can block certain news feeds or certain types of content. You can also block it at certain times to give yourself daily time limits on these apps. I also recommend that it's really important to stay connected personally and face-to-face as well, and talk to your friends and family about what you're seeing online.
Yes.
Because there's tends to be a lot of bias as well. So when you start interacting in person with people, you can start sort of pulling apart some of these news articles.
Yes, yes. And then when we talk about media platforms, Dr. Harrison, and even journalists, how can we play a role in kind of reducing the negative effects of doom scrolling? Because, although, people may not be scrolling with us, we're on YouTube and, we're, broadcasting via radio, but at the same time, we don't want to add to this, the negativity.
Yeah, look, there's a fine balance, right? So we, like I mentioned before, adjusting algorithms and prioritizing, the content you do want to see. We are a part of an attention economy, like I talked about earlier. Our attention spans are shorter, so we need to also be more critical, create better representations of moderate voices, which tend to get missed. And obviously more positive content, nuanced, educational content's always going to be something as well that people would really appreciate, because it's worth noting that most people don't want to consume this negative content. And so there's this disconnect between what the platforms promote and what usually users actually do want to consume.
Indeed. Well, I want to thank you so much for your expertise and opinions on how we can stop or prevent doom scrolling. So thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it, Dr. Harrison.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Once again, everybody, this was our special interview, and I saw comments during our interview once again. So the whole doom scrolling, what that means is, constantly on your news feed, being almost addicted to, like tapping or pressing on the not so great stories, kind of the negative stories, the stories that might be kind of, depressing, and there's a lot of maybe violence. And then we don't want you to consume too much of that, because that definitely will affect how you're feeling or even your mental health. So that was our special interview on that. And now we're going to take a short song break. As requested by Umberto, this is Confetti by Tori Kelly.
I gotta keep myself in check sometimes, 'cause I tend to dream real big sometimes. The fancy outfits and the sparkly awards, my name and last the people lined up at the doors. But I gotta remember to take it one step at a time, 'cause people seem to think that you'll be happier once you reach the top. You'll have it all, but I'm living for right now. 'Cause what if tomorrow never comes? I'm not waiting for the confetti to fall. Yeah. Ooh. I can't just sit around and wait for my life to start. I can make a difference, put a little happiness in someone's heart. The fancy cars, the glitter and the fame, it's all nice, but it won't be worth a thing. Love is bigger, so I'ma stand up for love, yeah. People seem to think that you'll be happier once you reach the top. You'll have it all, but I'm living for right now. 'Cause what if tomorrow never comes? I'm not waiting for the confetti to fall. If there was a rope stretching up to the sky, with all of my dreams at the very top so high, I get so caught up in everything around me moving quickly, I forget to cherish every single moment I receive. Ooh, I forget about the climb, I just wanna get there, don't wanna wait in line. Even though it's so clear that I'm called to use patience on this journey that I'm on, I know that I'll come out alive and it'll only make me stronger. While everybody's focused on the hype, I'll be wondering why we seem to think you'll be happier once you reach the top. You'll have it all, I'm living for right now. 'Cause what if tomorrow never comes? I'm not waiting, no. People seem to think you'll be happier once you reach the top. You'll have it all, but I'm living for right now. Hey, 'cause what if tomorrow never comes? I'm not waiting, no, I'm not waiting for the confetti to fall.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
Always cuts to me when I'm dancing. I know. Bonnie's dancing. She's in the house. All right, it's time for Bonnie and the Health. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. It is. It's so beautiful outside.
It is beautiful.
Yes.
A little, it's still a little chilly. It looks really warm, but
it looks like it's spring, but
still
it's not.
fooling us. Yeah.
It is not. Definitely not. Hey, so I have a text topic for you today.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you're at home, because we love finding out like little details of Bonnie's life.
Yes.
So like, when you're resting, are you like on the sofa, like loud, like totally just vegging out, lying down? Not you, but I'm just like imagining anybody like legs open, just like drooling. Or are you like sitting up straight?
Oh, well, I'm not drooling, but
Yes.
I sit up straight, but I tend to like start to like slouch a little bit.
Yes.
So then I'll like reposition a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting.
I'll try to move around, but
Yes.
sometimes.
We imagine you like not sitting at all. So busy.
Trying to,
Yes.
actually. There's, that actually relates to our topic today. I will touch on that.
Michael Kim says, Bonnie, 본인님 덕분에 꿀 사서 잘 먹고 있습니다.
Oh, 진짜요?
Another
wow.
person added to our little Bonnie's cult.
Wow.
Yes. Drift
That's
Monkey.
amazing.
Cult time, everyone. Get your pen and paper.
Actually, yeah, today I have lots of tips for you. So actually, I was going to say get a pen and paper because I have lots of helpful tips that you will probably want to remember. So, yes, so, or record on your
다시
phone.
듣기
네,
해도
네.
돼요.
그것도
Play
좋죠.
good feature.
네.
Okay, here we go. So what do you have for us? What are we talking about?
So a lot of ingredients I've been talking about the past couple weeks, like vinegar, sourdough bread, all really good for your glucose spikes. I keep on bringing this up, the glucose spikes or glucose as in your blood sugar level.
Right.
So I wanted to cover our health hacks on how to reduce these glucose spikes altogether and why, you might say.
Yes.
Because blood sugar levels are normal in the blood. We always have lots of different foods that have sugars in them. So
Right.
the little spikes is normal. But if we have really high spikes or if a lot of these spikes throughout our daily life, it can really affect our health in a very, very negative way.
Okay.
So for our heart health, high blood sugar can really damage the blood vessels, and this can, of course, lead to heart disease and heart attacks or even stroke. This can actually affect your vision. So high blood sugar can damage the retina, leading to blindness even.
That's serious.
Yes. And then also your kidneys. So your kidneys, if they have high blood sugar, it can contribute to kidney disease, which also is can be very detrimental.
Yes.
And it affects your immune system. So a stable blood sugar level can help you fight off infections and different diseases and illnesses. So this is especially something you want to be mindful of in the cold flu season as well. And of course, we want to always get a good night's sleep. But unstable blood sugar can contribute to not being able to sleep, and also when you get to sleep, not having a great night's sleep, which of course, as you know, can affect your whole day the next day and even your week to come.
True.
Also affects your hormone levels and your regulation. So this can affect a lot of different things. If your hormones are off balance, this can affect your mood. It can affect weight gain, especially in kind of trouble areas like your tummy.
Yes.
And this can affect even women's ability to get pregnant, a lot of weight gain or weight loss, and then your energy levels throughout the day. So it can affect your daily life, right? How you go about the day, how well you can focus on things.
Right.
And then when your glucose levels spike, you might feel drowsy or lazy. So those of you who picked on the text topic, maybe you're those ones drooling on the couch with your legs spread out. Maybe after you eat, especially after you eat, this might be because of a glucose spike. Maybe you you had a lot of carbohydrates or whatever you ate, and then you want to be really, sometimes you might, like even doze off. We call it like the lunchtime slump. I think there's like a name for it. After you have food coma.
The lunch.
Yeah.
Food coma.
After people you go out and have lunch, that's why we always get that coffee afterwards. Everybody feels that midday like, really sleepy. Maybe you can't focus on your work. This might be the reason why. So I talked about the really bad negative things like your diabetes, heart attack, stroke. These are really serious, but also the day-to-day effects like the drowsiness, the laziness, inability to focus. And then, of course, we don't like this as well. It also causes your collagen to not form as quickly. And so this can also cause wrinkles. So
that's bad.
Yeah, so a lot of blood sugar spikes causes inflammation. You have more cravings also throughout the day, so you're eating more, so you're intaking more calories.
It's like a vicious cycle.
Yes, so many things, right?
Right.
But don't worry, I have some hacks for you.
I was going to say, that was all doom and gloom, Bonnie. We need something.
Don't worry,
to
we
look forward
have
to.
solutions.
What can we do? Okay.
So all of these hacks I got from the author Jessie Inchauspé, she's French, who wrote Glucose Revolution, The Life-Changing Power of Balancing Your Blood Sugar.
Okay.
So these are just some quick hacks that you can do throughout the day, regulating your blood sugar levels. So I'll just go right into them. The first one, hack number 1, eating your foods in the right order.
There's an order.
Yes, there is an order that can help control your blood sugar levels. So the right order is number 1, fiber.
So what do we mean by fiber, just in case our listeners don't know?
Really quick, or simple way to think about it is your veggies.
Okay.
Any kind of fibrous foods, veggies, especially dark greens, these are really great. The next thing, protein. So if you're having your chicken or tofu, any kind of meat, that kind of thing. Eggs also. Then your fats.
Okay.
So if you're having avocado, anything kind of oily, anything greasy, have that be kind of towards the later part of your meal.
Sure.
And then the last thing are starches and sugars. So your rices, maybe potato, pasta, breads, and then always dessert at the end.
And it's so tempting to go the other way.
Yes. So
Starting
this is really difficult to do all the time, but I'll let you know how little other tricks how you can regulate this.
Okay.
But if you are concerned about this is the correct order to eat your foods.
Got it.
Number 2 hack is veggie starter. So to reduce your glucose spike, you're going to have a vegetable as a starter and make that about 30% of your meal.
So this is your meal?
Yeah, maybe if you're having a salad, having that first.
Yes.
Or whatever kind of vegetable. And in Korea, sometimes you have like the peppers that you have dip it in doenjang or something, or have the lettuce that you can dip in doenjang. Maybe have that first before your meal. So always start with the veggies. Number 3, stop counting your calories. So calorie counting doesn't really improve any of your health outcomes, and not all calories are equal. So you can't just be like, oh, okay, I had like a really big lunch. So certain things like fructose, which is your fruit, your honey, any kind of syrups or sugar, those are much higher and not as nutrient dense as your glucose, like your bread, rice, pasta, starchy foods. So don't bother counting how many calories things have.
Right.
Just think about what kind of food that you're eating. This number 4 hack, I really like this one. Have a savory breakfast. So skip out on those sweet pastries, even your fruit smoothies, fruit juices in the morning. Start off with something savory.
Like?
So eggs, maybe potatoes, bread and butter.
Okay.
Things like that.
For breakfast.
Yes. So things that are not sweet. If you are going to have something sweet, have it towards the end or pair it with something that is starchy. So if you're, instead of just having fruit, maybe you're having fruit with a piece of bread, mixing those together instead of having a whole sweet food. Hack number 5. Okay, this is not, I don't know, necessarily a hack, but you can have any kind of sugar. So for this particular thing of glucose spike, all sugar is made of glucose and fructose. That'll have the same impact on your body. So certain ones have more antioxidants than others, like we covered last week. Honey has more health benefits, I guess you could say, than other sugars.
Yes.
But as far as glucose goes, they will still give you the same amount of spike.
Okay.
The next one is pick a dessert over having a sweet snack. And what this means is if you are someone that craves a lot of sweet things, save it for after your meal instead of having it midday. So instead of having it by itself. So if
at
you're
the end of breakfast, like something little?
Yeah, having it at the end. So pairing it with some other food instead of just having it out by itself. Having sugar on an empty stomach will very much give you that glucose spike. Very, very high instead of if you pair it with something else or having it after a meal.
Okay.
Okay. Then number 7, we've covered this here on the show as well, vinegar.
Yes.
And this is one of the other hacks that we can do. So having vinegar taken before a meal, maybe 20 minutes or so, and 1 tablespoon mixed in a glass of water. Having this before a meal, especially a meal that is heavy in carbohydrates. So a heavy pasta meal or rice meal, having it before, or like we covered in our episode, mixing it in. Maybe having it with your salad dressing or having it as like a dressing of some sort with your meal will still help that glucose spike. And it can reduce this spike of up to 30%. So this can make quite a difference in your glucose spike.
Yes.
Hack number 8, and this is our text habit, move after you eat. So if you are one of those people, like we said, you're just sitting on the couch after you eat at home,
so bad.
Get up and do something. So some sort of movement. Maybe you want to wash the dishes, even rearranging your house, cleaning. Save that for after your meal. Even just like doing some calf raises or doing some stretching. Any kind of movement is better than just being stagnant on your couch after you eat. So this is what is going to cause that glucose spike as well. So after you eat, that's going to be causing that inflammation, that weight gain, that loss of focus, that drowsiness.
Yes.
So even if you're at the office, after you eat a big, heavy lunch, take a little walk. Don't go straight back to the office and sit in your chair.
You're going to doze off.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Yes, and not be able to focus on your work. You're just going to go home. So do some movement of some sort. Even if that's at your desk, you know, like people do like little calf raises and things, or you can stretch, walk around the office, whatever you can do.
So what one of our listeners wants to know, for like how long would you recommend just moving about, like let's say after lunch? Because like if you're working, whether from your home or, you know, outside of the home, like at an office, you've had lunch and you're like, you tell your colleagues, you know, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Yes.
Like how much would you recommend?
I'd say the minimum 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay.
10 minutes, yes, of moving around. So also like depends on how much you're moving around, but and especially after dinner too, a quick like 15-minute walk around your apartment building or wherever you live, that should be sufficient.
I gotta add that to the dishwashing.
Yes.
That'd be better. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let the dishes pile up and do them all after the meal.
Yes.
And then the next one, if you are a snacker, if you like to snack throughout the day, this one as well, go for a savory snack instead of a sweet snack.
Give us an example of a savory snack. Savory meals I get, like eggs, like toast together. What would be a savory snack?
Well, something that includes a protein, a healthy fat, or some sort of fiber.
So it wouldn't be like a
veggie sticks.
That is like the antithesis. Don't go. 아니 왜 소시지 savory 해요? But that's like so bad for you. We know it's bad.
Yeah.
for us,
So this is the thing. You can say, oh well, this is not a sweet snack.
Right.
I should have this instead. But then also look at what that snack is. Is it really high in fat content? Is it really high in processed food? Is it a very trans fat heavy? So you know, a healthy savory snack might be like a nut butter with some apple slices, or even carrot sticks, or certain kinds of chips that you can have, but maybe not super fried potato, heavy in oil kind of chips.
Okay.
Nuts are a great snack that you can keep on hand, like a trail mix even.
Yeah.
So if you want the sweet part, you can add bits of dark chocolate or like dried fruit to the trail mix. So you can get like your sweet fix, but also you're adding it with some sort of savory.
We have a really funny comment. Potato chip French fry 최소 아닌가요? 아닙니다. Once it's in that oil.
So like I said, I mean,
it's very starchy.
Yes, it is. It's not a sweet snack, but
it's a tuber.
not a healthy
it's not like a real veggie
snack.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Our last hack, official hack, is putting clothes on your carbs.
What?
So what this means is we've kind of been going over this during the whole episode. It means adding a protein, a fat, or fiber to your starches and sugars. So this will reduce the speed of glucose absorption into your body, and this will highly impact your cravings. So for example, like I said, if instead of having just fruit, if you have just fruit, this will cause that high glucose spike, and then you'll crave something afterwards. You won't be full feeling, so you can add like a nut butter to it. If you're having chips, like a tortilla chip, add some guacamole to it, add some fat to it. The avocado will actually stabilize that snack. So you're not just having that the like carb heavy, corn heavy tortilla chip. If you add the guacamole to it, this will actually stabilize it. So having something with your carbs, the protein, the fat, something along with it. And this is for all of our, because we're in Korea, this hack I think is really helpful. When you are cooking your rice, add a little bit of coconut oil, maybe a tablespoon or so. When you cook it, this will help stabilize those carbohydrates. This will kind of reconfigure the configuration of the carbohydrate, and this will make it better for your system and not give you that high glucose spike. And also put it in the fridge or freezer and then reheat it. So a lot of us keep the rice in the rice cooker and we just have it warm continuously. But actually for your blood sugar level, it is better to put that rice in the fridge or freezer and then reheat it when you eat it. And this will change the and this goes for bread too. So if you like bread, instead of having bread fresh all the time, freeze it or put it in the fridge and then reheat the bread, and this will do the same for the bread as well.
All right, one last tip.
Okay, if you are a water drinker with your meal, stop. Have your water before or after your meal, and this will help your glucose spike and regulation instead of having it with your meal.
Oh no.
I hope you guys all wrote that down. That was a lot of tips, right? I know.
Oh, okay.
You can. It just will give you that. It will be.
I'll drink it before.
Yes, it might give you a little drowsiness. If you're out there, you're feeling drowsy after the meal, try these hacks.
Okay.
Or after.
Yes. We're getting lots of comments like, love you, Bonnie, but you and I have very different expectations of snacks. I will try to follow the cult leader, but this is a tough road.
Small steps, baby steps. I always say.
Baby steps, yes.
Little things here or there.
Well, thank you so much for all the good information. I'm going to at least try the water. Like, at least do one or two.
Yes,
I can do
That's a great start.
All right. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
And before I let all of you go today, I want to give you these precautions to prevent wildfires. Do not burn rice paddies or banks around fields, agricultural debris, or trash in forest areas. Also, do not smoke or litter cigarette butts in forest areas. Do not carry flammable materials like lighters and others when you enter mountains. Also, dispose of ashes from wood-burning furnaces or boilers, 화목 boiler, without live embers. And if you start a fire or bring flames into forest areas, you may be subject up to 1 million in fines. And if your negligence causes a wildfire, you may be subject to up to 3 years in prison or up to 30 million won in criminal fines. And remember, dry weather special alert in effect. That means it's really dry. Let's be extra careful. Final song for today, 달리기 by Yunsang. So wishing everybody a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
지겨운가요? 힘든가요? 숨이 턱까지 찼나요? 할 수 없죠. 어차피 시작해버린 것을 쏟아지는 햇살 속에 입이 바싹 없죠